My guest is Monica Crowley. She is a contributor for the Fox News Channel and has been a regular panelist on the McLaughlin Group. This is what they gave me. I hope I'm doing this right.
Yes, it's nice to meet you, Alan Colmes.
Right.
For the
well,
first
when I
time.
first met you was when your first book came out.
I think that's
when we first met.
Oh, my gosh.
Long before the Fox News Channel.
Let's not date ourselves here, Colmes, okay?
All right, fine. And look what that led to. Anyway. You're pretty upset that I married your sister.
I love that you married my sister. You make her very happy, and that's all I care about, and I love you too.
Thank you very much.
Even though you're totally misguided.
Misguided. Look at this book.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my head's exploding.
Good. That means I've done my job.
Would you agree? By the way, the book is called What the Bleep Just Happened, and that a familiar responsibility. And also to do a good radio show. I have Monica Crowley on the program. But radio first, that's what it's all about. And you got some nice endorsements. Sarah Palin, who doesn't talk to me, did it. Very nice. Rudy Giuliani. So would you agree this is an Obama-bashing book?
No,
I think not.
I think it is a truth-telling book, and one of the reasons I wrote it, Alan, is because if you just listened to the lamestream media, if you didn't tune into Fox News, if you didn't turn into conservative talk radio, you were only getting one side, and you're still only getting one side of the Obama story.
But this you're bashing Obama in this book.
No,
I mean,
I'm telling
you call
the
him
truth.
A skinny socialist, a big fat liar, a strange hologram of a man. This is not. This is an anti-Obama book. At least let's admit that's what this is.
Like I said, Alan, it is a truth-telling book, and it's about time somebody told the truth
Monica,
about Barack Obama.
It's an opinion-telling book, and you give your opinion beautifully. You're a great writer.
Thank you very much.
You're a very good writer.
But I still haven't persuaded you.
Oh, I don't think so. But when you have a section titled "The Skinny Socialist is a Big Fat Liar," and you call him a strange hologram of a man, which is a personal attack, and those are some of the nicer things you say about him.
Okay, let me defend myself here because you've just said they're personal attacks. They are absolutely not. I actually am very proud of that turn of phrase, strange hologram of a man. This is a guy who has created out of thin air, out of whole cloth, his entire narrative. It's not Monica Crowley saying this guy he's made up his own story. He has admitted in the past to creating girlfriends, creating whole lines of his life story that are just made up. And David Marinus, by the way, who's got a competing book, a biography of Barack Obama.
How dare he?
This week, also, this is a Washington Post guy, says the exact same thing.
So
that's what I mean by hologram.
So he says he's a complete liar.
He has lied about a lot of things. And let me just address, because you raised the title of my second section in the book. It's called The Skinny Socialist is a Big Fat Liar. Let's take that apart. Number one, is he skinny?
All right. Yes, he is skinny.
Okay, thank you. So right there. So
I'm skinny too.
Accurate. I'm accurate to that point.
All right. He and I are both
skinny. Okay. Let's take the next word. Socialist.
Yeah. No.
This is a guy. Let me break it down for you, Alan. So you
talk slowly so I can understand.
Yeah, I want you to get clear on this. Okay. Both of his parents were communists.
Wait, let's stop right there. You said this the other night on a radio. It's not fair to visit upon the son the sins of the father.
Let me complete my thought, and then you can pound me into oblivion if you want. Okay. Both of his parents were communists. His ideological father and mentor was one of the most prominent communists of the 1950s, Frank Marshall Davis, who was pursued and investigated by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI for many decades. Then he goes on and he admits, in his own words, that he sought out Marxist and communist and socialist professors when he was in college. Later in life, he surrounds himself with anti-American radicals that are self-avowed communists, like Van Jones, like Bill Ayers. And let me just, two other quick points to back up the socialist thing. In 2010, Al Sharpton, give it up for the Reverend Al, Al Sharpton went on MSNBC and said, quote, and these are his words, not mine, "There is no doubt that the American people overwhelmingly voted for socialism when they elected Barack Obama."
I'm glad you're finally referencing Al Sharpton as someone who is the yardstick to announce punditry that you believe in. All of a sudden, Al Sharpton is informing you of what is the right thing to say.
Every once in a while, a left-wing kook violates the code of
omerta
and admits the truth.
All right, let's go to what you said. You're playing a McCarthyite game of guilt by association. That's what you're doing. We have the names. Look who he's associated with. He went to a guy's house for coffee once. We'll never let go of Bill Ayers. Van Jones,
Alan,
who is not a communist at this point.
No, he is a self-avowed communist.
And by the way, this is a game of guilt by association. The president's been in the White House for almost 4 years. He has not instituted any communist policies or done the radical kinds of transformation you are claiming that he is doing, that
Alan?
he hasn't done it.
Can I back up my argument,
Sure.
please? Okay, so my last point about backing up the word socialist, and I use that word not in the economic technical sense of socialism, but I use it as shorthand for government-directed redistributionism. And my final point, after citing Al Sharpton, saying that the American people overwhelmingly voted for socialism, is the way he has governed over the last three and a half years. And what he has done, in his own words, he set out to fundamentally transform the country. What he did was go about attacking the four basic pillars of the U.S. economy: the industrial base, the financial sector, the healthcare sector, and the energy sector.
Attack?
He absolutely
by investing in energy? By reforming healthcare, yes, which he was voted to do?
Taxpayer money into green energy boondoggles like Solyndra.
No,
that lost us $500 million.
You keep mentioning Solyndra, and you ignore the dozens of other companies that were successful that he invested in.
Alan, so many of these green energy sector companies have gone under, completely bankrupt.
Two of them did.
And
Two of them did, Beacon and Solyndra, and Republicans voted for the program that actually gave money to these programs. So you want to isolate it to Obama.
And that was back in the day, and you know what? They were wrong to do that, because the question is, should the government be involved in any of this?
The answer is yes, because without the government, we wouldn't have the internet, we wouldn't have a number of things we have today. Without government investment in all kinds of things, we would not have.
You know what that means, government investment?
Yes.
That is social engineering, and that's taxpayer money being blown. If these industries cannot make it and compete in the free market on their own, then they'll wither away, and if they can succeed, then they will survive and thrive.
Almost all industries get largesse. Well, look at all the government tax breaks that go to big industry, the loopholes the Republicans don't want to close. As a result of that, they have all these profits because of the government largesse visited upon them because of the tax loopholes.
I am totally against corporate welfare.
But this is what Republicans do. You want to put this all on Obama, like it's all his fault, when we have decades of this stuff that Republicans have supported, and it's all Obama's fault.
Let me just make one thing clear. In the book, What the Bleep Just Happened, thanks for the plug, Alan. I do make it clear that Republicans for a long time have gone down that road, and you're absolutely right about that, the road of big government, big spending, and they ought to be called out on it. And by the way,
but you don't call them out on this in this book.
Yes, I do.
You're just calling out Obama.
No, that's not true. Clearly, you didn't read it.
I didn't read the whole thing. I just got it. You know why? Because I didn't get my special autographed copy that I thought my sister-in-law would give me.
Whatever. Of course I'm going to give you an autographed copy.
But I only got this yesterday.
All right. Well, whatever. You're forgiven. But I do go after the Republicans for having done this for so many decades. The problem is, well, let me make two quick points. Yeah. The problem with the Republican Party over so many years in going down this big government road is that they lost their way, and so they started losing elections. And the rise of the Tea Party a couple of years ago initially did not have to do with Barack Obama and the incredible out-of-control spending he and his fellow kooks have done.
Fellow kooks.
Yes.
So here we go with a name call.
The Tea Party came about because the Republican Party wasn't doing its job, and it wasn't sticking to its principles of limited government and fiscal responsibility. That's why you got a Tea Party. But what's happened over the last 3.5 years has been an incredible explosion of federal money and spending, unprecedented spending.
We started with George W. Bush saving the banks.
You know
we started with wars that Bush started.
I can't. I love you, but if I hear George W. Bush
I'm
again,
sorry, but you
God.
can't talk about what's going on today without going back to what started all this. It's impossible to do that.
I am so glad you raised that, because let's talk about what started this, shall we?
Yes,
okay?
Yes, we shall.
Because the left wing always loves to invoke George W. Bush, and are we going to go back to the failed policies of the past? 2 points. Number one, George W. Bush in 2001 and 2003 signed 2 waves of tax cuts into law with bipartisan support in the Congress.
Which was supposed to be sunsetted, by the way.
That led to 54 consecutive months of job creation and economic growth before the financial crisis kicked in. A financial crisis is different than an economic crisis. So if you want to talk about failed policies and you want to refer to the financial crisis, what got us into that problem was the social engineering going back to the Community Reinvestment Act.
The Community Reinvestment Act, which was supported by both Republicans and Democrats and promoted by George W. Bush, and the fact that Barack Obama inherited a month month-to-month losses of 750,000 jobs a month, which he reversed, and now we've had 21 months in a row of job creation as a result of Barack Obama's policy.
Okay, so you have a financial crisis that was created by leftist social engineering over many decades.
No, that's not what created it.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
You just told me Republicans did it too. You just said, acknowledged to me that Republicans are just as guilty.
No. On that point, I was talking about Republicans in Congress and across the country going down this big government, big spending road. When you talk about the roots of the financial crisis, that was leftist social engineering in the housing sector. What they did with the Community Reinvestment Act, signed into law by Jimmy Carter, expanded by Bill and Hillary Clinton, was all about
and supported by George W. Bush.
Guns to banks' heads and making them do loans to people who had no job, no money, and no access.
And it was George W. Bush who said, "Go out there."
Their risk?
It was supported and promoted and enhanced by George W. Bush who said, "Go out there, spend the money. Anybody can buy a home. That's the kind of opportunity society we live in." That's what Bush did.
President Bush, you're right about that in the first part of his first term. However, when he started to see Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the GSA is starting to collapse, he sent his first 2 Treasury, or maybe 3 Treasury secretaries to the Hill
Wonder why.
over many years to plead with the Congress. Guys like Barney Frank and Chris Dodd, who were supposed to be overseeing this stuff, begging them to do reform because he saw the crisis that was coming down the road.
It was the lack of regulation promoted by people like Phil Gramm that caused the problem.
No, it was the Democrats that refused to see the crisis. Barney Frank, a couple weeks before the collapse, is going, "Oh, these entities are just fine. I'd invest in them."
You had Phil Gramm and his Republican cohorts looking to deregulate, lack of oversight, which Obama changed when he reformed Wall Street and came in and actually installed oversight which previously did not exist. That's what helped save this country.
Didn't exist because Barney Frank and Chris Dodd, who were the guys, the Democrats in Congress who were supposed to be doing the oversight, checked out, and they were protecting their socialist engineering.
No, it was Republicans protecting their Wall Street big money people and the corporations. They never met a corporation or a big money guy they didn't like.
Oh, that's interesting, seeing as Barack Obama got more Wall Street money in 2008 than any Republican candidate ever did.
He did get good Wall Street money, and but he also had the guts or the cojones to stand up and reform Wall Street to the very people that gave him that money. So that money did not buy influence from the people who gave him the money, obviously.
Reforming Wall Street has basically crushed Wall Street. That's why Mitt Romney is getting all the
Wall Street
money now.
What was the Dow doing when Obama took office, and what is the Dow doing now? The Dow has grown over 1,000, 2,000 points.
I'm talking about the financial. I'm talking about the financial sector. There are so many regulations now; they cannot move. If you want to unleash America, and that's the title of my last section, America Unleashed. You've got to do tax reform. You've got to reform entitlements. You've got to restrain spending, and you got to deregulate.
So let's go back to the policies of George W. Bush that brought us into this mess in the first place.
I don't know what.
I know. But my head's exploding too, so we'll have 2 exploded heads. Romney has nothing to offer other than broad generalities. He won't answer anything on immigration. Actually, they cut short a conference call today when people started asking about immigration, and he has nothing other to offer than let's lower taxes and deregulate. He wants to go back to the Bush policies. What else is he going to offer?
Yes, he wants to go back.
That brought us to this disaster in the first place.
You obviously didn't hear a thing that I said about the policies that got us into this. They were all left-wing policies.
It's all left-wing. It's all caused by the left wing.
You know what? When you look, Ellen, at every single problem and crisis we have in America, it can all be rooted back to left-wing policies.
Exactly the opposite.
From the debt to the growth of government to public education and the teachers' unions, all of it.
Oh, my God. We're going to take a quick